Hi, 8th grade. Welcome to your third day of review for the New York State Math Test. We will start where we left off with question number 31. Which expression is equivalent to 2 squared times 2 divided by 2 to the 4th power? Well, remember that this is a 1 here. And when they have the same base, you keep the base, which is why all the answers have 2's. And depending on if we're multiplying or dividing, we add or subtract the exponents. So multiplying, we add, so it's going to be 2 plus, and dividing, we subtract. So 1 minus 4. We have to do the 1 minus 4 first. So 2 in the parentheses, 1 minus 4 is negative 3. And 2 minus 3 is equal to negative 1. Okay? You actually didn't have to do the 1 minus 4 first. You could have done it 2 raised to the second power plus 1 minus 4. If you did 2 plus 1 first, that would be 3. Minus 4 still gives you the same answer. Number 32. The object below is made by placing a cone on top of the cylinder. The base of the cone is congruent to the base of the cylinder. What is the volume in cubic centimeters of the object? So we have to find the volume of both parts and add them together. So the cylinder, volume of a cylinder is 2 pi r squared h. Oh no, not 2 pi r squared h, just pi r squared h. So remember, we do the area of the base, that's our pi r squared, and multiply it by the height. And the cone, the volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. So we fill in what we know. First step is to substitute. So pi is 3.14. Our radius is half of the diameter. So the radius is 2 squared, and the height of the cylinder is 10. Second step is to do the exponents. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4, times 10. So then last step is to multiply. So that is 125.6. Now we'll do the cone. Plug in what we know. 1/3 pi is 3.14. The radius is the same. So that's that 2 squared. And the height is 3. Then we do our exponents. So 1/3, 3.14. 2 squared is 4 times 3. Now we multiply, and since we've got that 1/3, we can put these all over 1. And I'm going to put this over here. So 1 times 3.14 times 4 times 3 is 37.68. And 3 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 3. So then we divide. And this is 12.56. So we have to take these two numbers and add them together. Oh no. Okay. I didn't have to do it. See how they left all the answers in pi? We didn't have to multiply pi in there, but that's okay. We can fix that. So 125.6 plus 12.56 equals, oops, I did that wrong. Let me type that again. 125.6 plus 12.56 equals 138.16. So I need to figure out which one of these equals that. So I do 32 times 3.14, that's 100. Nope. 40 times 3.14, that's 125.6. Nope, that's not what we want. 44 times 3.14 is 138.16. Hey, that's the one we want. And you could try D. 128 times 3.14, that's 401. That's not what we're looking for. Okay. Number 34. Lily wants to define a transformation or series of transformations using only rotation, reflections, or translations that takes figure A to figure B. Which statement about the transformation that Lily wants to define is true? It can be defined with two reflections. I'm already looking at these shapes. Are these shapes the same? No, this would need to be this much longer and go straight across for them to be same. So it cannot be defined. It cannot be defined because figure A and figure B are not congruent. Number 35. What is the solution to the systems of equations below? I'm looking at these two equations. There are multiple ways to solve systems. You could graph them, see where they intersect. You could use substitution or elimination. The way these two are set up, it is easiest to use elimination. Remember, elimination, to get rid of something. I see a positive 3y and a negative 3y. Those would cancel each other out. So I add everything else, remembering that this is 1x. So 3x equals 6 plus 9 is 15. Solve for x by dividing by 3, and x equals 5. So the answer has to be C. It's the only one where x is equal to 5. Number 36. As part of a training program for a triathlon, Marcy completes a 3-mile run a few times each week. The scatter plot below shows the times in which Macy completes this run for each week, and she has been in the training program. Based on these data, which statement best describes the relationship between the number of weeks Macy has been training program and her running times? Is there a negative or a positive linear association? Well, it's going down, so it's negative. So I'm going to cross out C and D. Does it have any outliers, or does it have one outlier? I don't see any outliers. So the more weeks she trains, the faster she gets running because her time goes down. 37. What is the solution to the equation below? So we have to solve for C. First thing I see to do is to distribute the 2. Distribute means to multiply. So we rewrite 5C plus 4 equals 2 times C is 2C. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Now I want to get the C's on the same side. I can either subtract 2C or subtract 5C. It doesn't matter which one, but I'm going to subtract 2C because then we don't have to deal with negatives. 5C minus 2C is 3C. Bring down your plus 4. 2C minus 2C cancels out, and we're left with negative 10. Now I'm trying to get C by itself. I got to get rid of the 3 and the 4. I'm going to get rid of the 4 first because it's farther away. 4's cancel out. 3C is equal to negative 14. And last but not least, divide by 3. 3's cancel out. So C is equal to negative 4 2/3 because 3 goes into 14 4 times. That would be 12 with 2 left over. Which statement best explains whether the ordered pairs represent a function? Remember, a function says every input has one output. So I'm going to look at all my inputs. I've got negative 4, 6, negative 8, 9, 12, and 6. So I have 2 instances where there's a 6. And in both cases, there's a different output, meaning this is not a function. So I'm going to cross out A and B because those both say that they represent a function. C, the ordered pairs do not represent a function because one input value has 2 different output values. That's exactly what we said. The ordered pairs do not represent a function because the difference between the input and output of each ordered pair is not the same. That is not the definition of a function. Number 39. The amount of revenue in dollars Y that Jason receives from selling X posters is given by the equation Y equals 4X. The cost of producing X posters is given by the equation Y equals 1/2 X plus 280. How many posters does Jason need to sell so that the cost and the revenue are equal. If the cost and the revenue are equal, the equations would be set equal to each other. So we have to do 4x is equal to 1/2 x plus 280. So I'm going to solve for x, and I'm going to get x on the same side. So I'm going to subtract my 1/2 x on both sides. Cancels out on the right. 4x minus 1/2 of x is 3.5x equals 280. And divide both sides by 3.5. Cancels out on the left. X equals, let's see, 280 divided by 3.5. X equals 80. Number 40. A car traveled 36 miles in 45 minutes. The car traveled at a constant speed. If the car continues to travel at this rate, which equation can be used to determine y, the total number of miles the car will travel in x hours? So this is just a linear equation, y equals mx plus b, where if the car has gone 0 minutes, it's going to travel 0 miles. So it's really just y equals mx, because our plus b would be 0. The starting is always 0. So we need to just find the rate, but you have to be careful. Miles per hour. They gave us miles in minutes. So 36 miles happens in 45 minutes, but we want to know how many miles do they go in 1 hour. Well, 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes. We want to know the number of miles, x miles. So we cross multiply. Have to do 36 times 60. And that gives us 2,160. And 45 times x is just 45x. Divide both sides by 45. 45's cancel. And we get 48 miles in 1 hour. So 48 is our m. So our equation is y equals 48x. Number 42. The mass of a dust particle is approximately 7.5 times 10 to the negative 10th kilograms, and the mass of an electron is 9 times 10 to the negative 31st kilograms. Approximately how many electrons have the same mass as one dust particle? So we have to do 7.5 times 10 to the negative 10th divided by 9.1 times 10 to the negative 31st power. So all we have to do is divide the separate parts. So 7.5 divided by 9.1 is 0.824. And then dividing the base 10s, you keep the 10 and subtract the exponent. Negative 10 minus negative 31. You know when you have a minus negative, it turns positive. So this is 0.824 times 10 to the negative 21st power. Looking at the answers, none of those are my answers, but that's because this is not in correct standard notation. So we have to add 1. Oh, and this should be positive. Negative 10 plus 31 is positive 21. So we move the decimal point over 1, so we add 1 to the exponents, and we get 8.24. Sorry, since it's a decimal, you have to subtract 1. 8.24 times 10 to the 20th power. C. And that's all we have time for today. We will pick it back up where we left off tomorrow. Hope you're enjoying your break.